WWE Universe, prepare to be introduced to the three newest superstars of the WWE. Jacob, the WWE superstar name you chose was?
The Eliminator!
The Eliminator! Nick, the WWE superstar name you chose was?
Nick the Stitch.
Nick the Stitch! And Logan, we worked really hard on this one. The WWE superstar name you chose was?
Lightning Logan.
Lightning Logan! WWE Universe, the three newest members of the WWE!
All right, with that, welcome to the Blake and Sal Show. Sal, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Not bad at all. I wish the weather was better here. We kind of dropped 40 degrees last night, which sucks.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, no good. No bueno.
Yeah, within an hour, it dropped from 84 to 46.
Wow.
Yeah, last night. So that was not fun.
Wow, that's insane.
So, before we get into it, we had a very busy show. I just got to get this quick announcement out. Next week, we are having Deb Placey from the NHL Network on the show as a guest. So that is pretty cool. We are really excited about that. But today we have...
To introduce our guest star, that's what I'm here to do. And it really makes me happy to introduce to you.
Well, as a Devils fan, I date back to 1994. I didn't get to watch all the games because they were on Sports Channel, a pay network. So, I listened to the radio with Mike Miller and Randy Valashek. Then MSG picked up the games, and I went to an actual channel. I stopped regular listening. When I moved here to Wisconsin back in 2005, I got back to getting back on the radio, just not as regularly. But over the last couple of years, I got back into listening to games regularly because I actually really enjoy the commentary team of Matt Lachlan and our very special guest today, Sherry Ross. Sherry, how are you today? Welcome to the show.
I am doing fabulous. I'd be better if I was working covering playoff games, but all things considered, I'm okay.
We fully understand that, right, Sal?
Yeah, man, I'm with you there.
100%. Well, before we get into this season, because it's exactly been the best season in the world, we'll start talking about you, Sherry. I was looking up your bio, and it said you joined the team back in '92. How did you get to join the Devils back in 1992?
Well, this is all, it's either credit Lou Lamoriello or blame Lou Lamoriello, depending on how you feel about me having the gig. But I was a freelance writer at the time. I had worked for a newspaper that was ahead of the curve. It was called The National, and it was an all-sports newspaper that came out and lasted about 2.5 years. Excuse me. So I worked there. It folded. I was trying to grab work as a freelancer. And I remember I was at Nassau Coliseum. It was a Devils Islanders game. And Lou saw me in the hallway outside the dressing rooms and said, well, call me tomorrow at the office. I have something I want to talk to you about. Had no idea what was in store. So I called him. I go into the office, and he goes, we need a radio color commentator, and I think you'd be really good at this job. Do you have any interest? I had interest. I had no experience. I'd taken maybe one radio course in college because a guy I liked was working on the radio station. Kind of like that. I mean, I was studying journalism, but I was going to be a print journalist, which I was at the time. And Lou said, we'll give you 10 games. We'll have you work with a broadcast coach, and we'll see where it goes. They brought me in for the 10 games. The response was very good. Fortunately, I would hate to go back and listen to those games now because I'm sure I was just awful. But it was a great job, and it was a great offer. And when I always make a comparison, if let's say Steven Spielberg says, I have a part for you in a movie, but you have to ride a horse. Do you know how to ride a horse? You're going to say, yes, I know how to ride a horse. And then you're going to go out and learn how to ride a horse. So that's what this was. I'm like, I can talk. I know I can talk. I don't know if I can do this well enough for broadcast, but it's an unbelievable chance to do something unique, and I grabbed it, and here we are.
Yeah, I really don't blame you whatsoever. If I was in your shoes, I would do the exact same thing. Trust me.
Oh, sure. I mean, who wouldn't? No, I did stay there through the Cup year in '95, and then went back to writing, and now I'm back. I just finished my 6th year back on radio.
Yeah, I was about to say, because it's funny, I didn't realize this, because me and my best friend at the time, we actually always picked up the hockey scouting report. And I didn't realize that was your thing.
Yeah, it was.
Did not realize that till now.
Another guy started that, and then he moved to Fox Sports or something, but he wanted to keep the franchise going as it was. So he offered it to me and another writer, and we did it for a few years. And then at the time of the previous lockout, it was getting to the end of its run, and we just decided not to renew the contract then. And it was a ton of work. It forced me to find a lot of good contacts that to this day I still see around teams. So that was fantastic, but it was a lot of work, and unfortunately it didn't sell very well, so there was really no point in going on with it.
Well, you had us as readers, because you definitely gave us an education, which we needed. That's how come we're such dire fans now, which is a good thing. There
was actually a few teams that bought the book and gave them to their scouts, which was very flattering.
Cool. That's very, very cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes. Well, we came back in 07, obviously. That's actually around the time I jumped back on. How was it to work with Matt Lachlan? I'd have to ask, because he's definitely a personality.
I knew him a little bit beforehand because he had worked the TV side first with sports, MSG. I keep going Sports Channel because that's way back. That's where he started. But MSG, he was like the sideline guy. But he really wanted to do play-by-play. So when the radio job opened up, he took that. And he did it the first year with Tom Chorski, the former NHL player, former Devil. And then Tom decided to leave, and then that's when they brought me in. So I knew Matt a little bit. I knew his personality. He's great to work with. He's very professional about his job, but he also doesn't get unhinged about little things. Like if you're having trouble with the playback from the studio or commercials, if anything goes wrong, he holds it out till later. He doesn't take it out during the broadcast. The broadcast comes first. And he's been great to work with. He's a funny guy. He knows that we have to broadcast a game, but he also knows it's entertainment. And so he'll let me, be a little loopy from time to time.
Yeah, he's definitely better on the radio than he was on TV, in my personal opinion. So.
Well, if he'd done play-by-play on TV, you'd probably like him better. I don't think he was suited as a sideline guy. The kind of the in and out bits that they have to do. I think he liked doing play-by-play a lot better. You're really kind of like the captain of the team when you do play-by-play.
All right.
Yeah, definitely. Sherry, I have a quick question for you. First of all, I just want to say thank you for coming on. It's truly an honor. I'm a little starstruck right now.
Please don't be.
I wanted to ask you, what is your most memorable moment or game that you've had in your career calling the Devils?
Well, if we allow me to, because I'll do one from each. I'll do one from each era.
Sure,
so the first one was calling a Devils Stanley Cup championship game in 1995.
Yeah.
It was at the Meadowlands. It was the unexpected sweep of the Detroit Red Wings. They led early, so we sort of knew it was kind of like the coronation coming, and the crowd just got crazier and crazier. And my brother and my aunt, both of whom have passed away since, were in the crowd too. And I have one of those panoramic pictures that they take, and you can see me. You can see me in the press box, and you can see my brother and my aunt in the corner of the photo. And I have that in my office. So that's, for a lot of sentimental reasons, that's very important to me. Right. And the second thing would be when I unexpectedly got to do play-by-play for a game, which happened 2 years ago. There was a series of events with, unfortunately, Matt's father-in-law passed away, and it was just a situation where they knew it was coming, and they sort of said, "Okay, you're going to do this." And so I did it, and I did it with Rob Skurlock, he played one NHL game, but he's been in the Devils system for a long time. So they called him up quickly to do color. I did the game, and it was, I think, like 5 minutes. It was 2.5. I thought it was 5 minutes. It was so fast, and I was so keyed up. I was like a racehorse, and just to be able to do that and to break down another barrier in sports, that was crazy. It was really crazy. And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it had to be it had to be surreal to do that for that night.
Yeah, and it's just like when they asked me ahead of time if I would be able to do it, I said, well, okay, I think I could do that. And then I watched Matt very closely the next few games because the play-by-play guy does a lot of stuff, especially if you're on radio. You don't have visuals, so you can't talk over anything because the audience will have no idea what's going on. On TV, you can talk over it because you've got video. If you're just on radio, you really have to toe the line. And the only critique I got from WFAN was like during the broadcast, they called in and go, "Please have her give the score more often." So I was neglecting that. I'm like, all the things I'm doing here, and that's the one thing I'm screwed up on.
Hey, that's not bad.
Yeah, that was. I'm like, could you give me a little like pat on the back here? As I'm trying to get through this. So other than that, it worked okay, and it was like I said, it was one of those things that I did it, and I never thought I could, and pretty cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. We'll jump to the present because last week we actually were talking about the top 5 Devils playoff moments, and both of us definitely agreed that last year, Game 6, Devils Rangers, was one of the best moments we've ever watched. How was it to be in that building for that one?
Oh, that was incredible. It probably fits right if you go cup, Henrique double overtime goal. That's beating Henrique overtime goal, beating the Rangers. That's kind of the way it goes because number one, to beat the Rangers in any capacity is huge for this franchise, and to be there and to see it happen before your eyes in the Prudential Center, where there was always a significant number of Ranger fans, but it was very predominantly Devils that night, and I can just see him scoring, and then crashing into that corner. It's just like it's one of those things you just replay over and over and over again, and it was really like, okay, 1994 is now at rest, and it's almost 20 years. So let's it's good to finally get that out of the way since the Devils have won 3 cups since then. But to do it against the Rangers was really spectacular.
Yeah, so me and Sal were going back and forth last year about that. That's exactly what we said. 1994 is now finally over, which is awesome to say.
Yeah, well, it's impossible because you guys are out there. So if you were here, it's impossible to forget about it because Madison Square Garden treats it like a legend. They've won one Stanley Cup since 1940, and they will not let anybody forget it.
That was that was my first season as a fan. Was 93-94. So yeah, it's been embedded in my brain ever since.
Yeah, it really is. It just does drive you crazy because. Yeah, we should have beat them that year, 94, to begin with. Oh, yeah. But it was funny because everybody considered 95 a fluke for the Devils, and they won 2 Stanley Cups since then. So
exactly.
What's 1994 then?
Well, I look at it this way with 95. The funny part about 95, the Cup, because it was a lockout season, whoever wins the Cup this year is going to be the same thing. It's going to be a fluke because of the lockout year.
Probably if somebody other than one of the like a Pittsburgh or Chicago wins, like if Toronto wins, well, it's definitely a fluke. But if it's an Ottawa or I pick anybody out of the West, somebody that's not expected to win, if that happens, then yeah, it's definitely gonna be labeled a fluke for a while.
Yeah, I just thought about that as you said that. Well, this season it was a rough one. We had that 10-game losing streak. What do you think was the downfall for this season? Was it Kovalchuk's injury, or do you think it was something else?
I think the major thing was losing Zach Parise last summer. They cleared out a lot of cap space in order to be able to afford him. Their offer was, I would say, comparable to Minnesota's. Minnesota gave him a big bonus up front, which the Devils did not do, that $12 million or whatever it was, and then to not be able to compensate for his loss. Those things factored in. And while they were waiting for Parise to make his decision, which he didn't sign on July 1st, I think it was July 5th,
yeah, something like that.
A few days. So in that interim, all the other free agents are going elsewhere. So if the Devils had known on July 1st that Zach was definitely not coming back, then they possibly could have gone after one of the higher-end free agents. By the time Parise made his decision, that was all those options were off the table. So again, I don't even know if they were looking at any of those guys, but say they were looking at a Yager, I don't know. they couldn't get into the mix right away because they were holding out for Parisi. If they'd signed anybody else, they wouldn't have been able to afford them. So they kind of got stuck in that vacuum there. So that's really nobody's fault.